Hello, everyone. This is Shelly Dressel, and I am coming to you tonight to channel the universal light beings. So, what an amazing time we are living in terms of being able to experience the ascension process, creating a new reality, creating all of these new things that are happening. I mean, that's really incredible. However, what goes right along with that is there's also just such turmoil. There's such diversity. There's such, diversity is a good thing, but there is just such division between people right now. And so it is interesting how everything is like you're here saying, oh, it's the best of times, as they say. And then others saying, yeah, but it's the biggest struggle I've ever had in my life. So it's just about the extremes right now. Now, yesterday was the 11/11 portal, which was huge. And I think Crystallia is going to talk about that because I'm down here in Georgia in southeastern United States. And we don't see the aurora down here, but I saw multiple people on Facebook. Look what I can see outside my door. And I read something that I wish I had it and I could put the link in here if anybody else has that link. But you could actually see the aurora from the top of the planet. And it was just the most beautiful thing. And I believe that it was the Atlas, number one. It was also all of these influxes of energy are really manifesting in a lot of interesting ways. And so I think that's why everything, just anchored so deeply. So anyway, it was pretty incredible because it was kind of funny. I was talking to some friends of mine and family saying, hey, I think I might go to Iceland next year so I can see the aurora. And then this happened and I was like, okay, don't need to go to Iceland. It's coming to me. I remember one time, the reason, like those of you that have followed me for a long time, or if you've ever noticed, I always have the Northern Lights as a part of my logo. Way back in 2003, when I first began doing this, and I said, who am I? What's my name? And I got my name was Aurora, and that it represented like a galactic name. I know out there are many, but it represented that overriding energy and the beauty and the transition of what the Northern Lights do, or the Aurora Borealis, I guess as they call it. So anyway, it's always been an interest of mine, and friends of mine that live in Norway have sent just absolutely stunning pictures from Norway. And what was interesting is the ones down here in Georgia were very pink and red. And the ones I know in Norway had a lot of green. So I'm wondering if different parts of the world see these colors differently than other people do. So anyway, lots of people here. Thank you. I see YouTube, Facebook, and I think I saw Rumble before we even began. So thank you everyone for being here. Now, I use StreamYard, and a week ago was when I channeled Pleiadeans, and 2 weeks ago was when we did the last Universal Light Beings. I don't know what's different, that my channel is not showing up on Facebook. It's streaming, it's in there because you guys are seeing it right now, but then you go back and look for it, and usually it's just right there in the feed, in the timeline, that's associated with this. And it just doesn't show up. So I had multiple emails going back and forth, and they didn't really have an answer for me. So I don't know what's going on. But if I need to, the problem is if I just copy and paste the link, then yeah, sure, everyone can see it. That's great. But it doesn't let me work with it. I don't think it shares as easily. It's because it's a shared link already. But anyway, so for those of you that like to watch us in Facebook, I'm sorry about the problems that we're having. I'm well aware of it, and I'm, going to do my best. So it popped up right away. I usually have problems with Facebook. It takes like 10 minutes, but tonight it just popped right up. Well, that's what I thought it was supposed to do, is just pop right up. And the same with Rumble, the same with YouTube. So anyway, everything is changing, as you know, and we just have to keep rolling with the changes. Thank you, as always, for sending in the questions. We've got a lot that is happening, and for some reason, I think there's just as many questions as always, but it's interesting. Shoot, hang on, I'm missing a page. Oh, sorry to do this. I just thought, hang on. Since I had no idea what was on that third page, which was half a page worth, and I don't want to not answer the questions. I mean, I do the best I can. Sometimes the answers are kind of short and quick. Sometimes I just have to say, I'm done, I'm fried. But as you know, thank you all, those of you that hang in there with me. These are very long channels, and I'm sorry about that. I know how society doesn't really like long. but these are, because I'm doing all three, the different individual beings, and they all are bringing something different into this piece of the puzzle. But for those of you, I sent out an email this morning, and if you go to crystallinetransformations.com, you can see the channeling with Pleiadeans. I did a meditation with Crystallia. I have so I have everything that I've been channeling with them. You can see it right there on the homepage. So go check that out if you want to see some of the other stuff that's been going on. I thought the one with Pleiadeans was very interesting. And he said things kind of differently, or I heard it differently, so it's interesting how that is sometimes. Good morning from Melbourne. Thank you. I appreciate that. Longtime subscriber. Thanks. I'm so happy. And this is very true. A lot of you have been with me. Like I said, I've been doing this, 2003 to now, over 22 years. And a lot of you have been here from almost the very beginning, if not the very beginning. So I really appreciate you being here with me in this process. Jill and Ed, good to see you. Nice to be here, Bella. Nice to see you. You love your, and this is Maggie down in Australia, who I chat with. We text. It's like her night, my morning, her night. So we'll text sometimes. But anyway, love your channels no matter how long. Good. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to jump in here because, as always, there is so much to say and do. Tonight it's going to be Crystallia going first because there's a lot she has to say. Greetings. It is I, Crystallia. Welcome to this party. Welcome to this time together. Welcome to everything that is happening in your world. What is manifesting right now is the whole reason that I came here. I have been here almost 9 years in your time, and I came to assist with this process. I came to help with transitioning energy, with bringing information, with helping to download and integrate these high vibrational frequencies. And then, as Pleiadeans spoke the last time, he was talking about many things that I have also been working on, but it's coming from a different perspective. Because he has with him on the 3-eye atlas, he has many different beings that come from all over the place. I represent the omniverse. I represent a different energy and frequency, and it is kind of a culmination, but nothing is as diverse as the 3-eye atlas. So it is really, really, really powerful, and I'm so very excited that I myself have been able to witness the energy and the process that is happening because of this atlas coming through. So people are always saying, okay, what's the update? Where are we? How far along are we? How long is this going to go on? Well, I want to begin by talking about yesterday. Yesterday was the 11/11 portal, and it was particularly intense because of the way that the atlas was in relation to your sun, the way that the earth, Shelly was talking about it with the way that you could see the borealis. It was seen in a way that has not been seen for a very, very, very long time. One of the ways to look at what's been happening on Earth is that everything has been dirtied, or everything has been corrupted. Not everything, but a lot of your daily environments, your daily experiences have been corrupted in one way or another. So as you're starting to clear out a lot of that corruption and a lot of that stuff that was really not balanced and was not of a light energy, you are beginning to see things in a new and different way. So appreciate that. Appreciate how you are seeing things. Appreciate that there is much that is happening, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. It is really happening, and it is really amped up right now. So one of the things that's been going on is the separation of timelines. Now, I know Albayon and Brysentia are a little bit better about talking about this, but I wanted to speak about it because of the fact that from the vibration and frequency where I am, you can see how much light vibrational energy is in every timeline. So just one way to think about this is that there are always multiple different timelines that are manifesting side by side with one another. And sometimes you would slip fluidly from one to the other, just as you were living your day. And each one of you had multiple timelines that you were working on within yourself. This was much more evident about 5 to 6 or 7 years ago. So during that time, if you think about it, say each one, you're working with this individual, well, that puts you into a particular vibration or frequency. So then everything in your daily life can shift and transition because of how you react or act with that one individual. And then that can transition and move on down the line. So then you go about your business, you meet the next person, or you go home and it's a family member, and something else goes on, and it creates a ripple effect or a trigger. So the reason that I'm talking about this is sometimes people will look at these things and say, well, you're jumping timelines throughout your day. You're on a particular timeline with this person, a particular timeline with this person. Yes, I suppose you could call that as a truth. However, I instead am seeing that people are living in a much broader timeline than what they used to. So therefore, you have flexibility. You are moving around within your vibration and frequency, and it is within a broader space instead of everything being narrow-minded and very singular. So what does that mean to you? It means that you are transitioning your energy throughout your day, rather than it being all or nothing in a particular timeline. Again, I'm using that word a lot tonight, but rather than doing that, you're actually fluidly moving. And with this person, you're going to shift up and have a little higher timeline, vibration. With this person, you might shift down and be in a lower vibration. And all of it is still you. This is, and for so many of you that are very sensitive to these energies, you might be feeling this. You might literally feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so expanded. And oh my gosh, now my head hurts. I'm dizzy. I'm not able to process. I can't even remember how to talk sometimes. And these are the ways that you're integrating. So what's one of the best things that you can do? Ground. Consider the many different impulses that are coming at you. And just as each one of you, like if you think about it as this flow of energy that's around you, and you think about say you come into contact with 50 people in a day. I just chose that number. So for all those 50 people that you come into contact with, you're adjusting your energy field, just as they are adjusting their energy field in reaction to you. So this is all being done unconsciously, but as the vibration continues to change in the way that it is, you are feeling it in a conscious manner. So this is one of the reasons why you feel so wonky, especially when it's a portal such as it was yesterday. So now this is speaking about the timeline, or this is speaking about the frequency of each one of you individually and how it's impacting your everyday life. So now when you take a step back from that and you look at like the various vibrations of people, it used to be just countless numbers of groups, and each of those people that were vibrating at a particular level would kind of merge over and be in one particular gathering. With this vibration that is moving through all of humanity, instead of things being separated and segmented, it's literally bringing everyone together so that there can be a consistency. Now, within that consistency, there will be many, many, many different variations. And by you paying attention to where you are in your everyday life, you will then recognize how, oh, now I see how it's happening within my business, within my state, within my country, within the world. So it's a way of you finding a new type of understanding so that as you are integrating and moving forward and receiving more gifts or activating more gifts that are in and around you, this is going to help you navigate these things much more fluidly. So I'm sure Albayon will talk about it, but I did want to bring up here, part of what you are seeing right now is that division between people, because the more that you become accustomed or integrated into the higher frequency, it's almost like it's creating a divide to where those that are not integrated are even more noticeable also. So is this something for you to be concerned about? Is this something for you to take steps for? And the answer is, if it resonates with you, then yes, do so. But consider anything that you put your focus upon. And if you're putting your focus upon the fact that, boy, these people are just not vibrating at as high of a level as I am, but the whole world has to raise their vibration, so how can I help them to raise their vibration? Well, what you're doing is amplifying that they're different, amplifying that they're not on the same vibration. So something that might work better for the planet is just to take time and to visualize everybody as manifesting a way to shift their vibration into that consistent, balanced frequency that is going to support everybody. Okay, so now another big thing that I wanted to share is that, oh, sorry, it just went out of my brain. Let me think about it. I mean, it'll come back again. Let me go on and talk about something else then. It must not have been the right time to say it, or it would not have gone out of my brain. Anyway, people are asking me a lot about the crystalline energy, and they're saying, what does that mean? Well, it's about a crystalline vibration represents a frequency, and it's that higher frequency that's more associated with the 5th, 6th, 7th dimensions. So as you are becoming crystalline in your body, it begins with those non-physical aspects of you and moves into your physical aspects. So what is that going to mean to you? There will be a period of time when it may point out to you or really show you, as you are trying to integrate, that you're out of balance. For example, you may have a lot of digestive problems. You may have a lot of coughing. You may come down with an illness. There may be things that happen to you that seem to say, oh my gosh, I'm trying to vibrate and change my reality, but I'm just getting so sick, or I'm just having problems. So that's your way of your body showing you that let's clear out this old energy. Let's clear out what no longer serves you. You as your soul are massive. You've lived many, many lifetimes. Most of you here on the earth plane for multiple lifetimes. Some of you between the universe and here, multiple different lifetimes. There's nobody that is here that is like a brand new soul. Only souls that are very evolved and that are very old souls have the ability to move through this type of fluctuation. So if you ever think, well, am I an old soul or a new soul? You're an old soul. And it may be that you were predominantly out in the universe, working in other planets, working on other stars, working on other ships and things like that. And this is one of the first times, or very few times, that you've lived on Earth with a physical body. So yes, that gives one the perception that they are a young soul or a new soul, but you're really not. And what is the next step or phase of this ascension process is that the alignment between your human reality and your soul essence is going to be wide open. It's going to be even more open than it's ever been before. And what does that mean to you? For some of you, it's like you get inundated with energy and it feels overwhelming. And sometimes maybe in your dream state or in your meditation, you get thoughts and things that are bleed overs from other lifetimes, and it may be overpowering and overwhelming. So if this is something that is happening to you, then, time out. Talk to your soul, talk to yourself and say, hey, let's slow this down. Let me integrate it in a way that is going to be more comfortable, not only for my physical body, but my emotions and my thoughts. So as you begin to have those experiences and as you begin to really expand and know that, okay, I can go back and I actually have a memory of this other lifetime where I was having such and such an experience. So during this incarnation on Earth, you brought up many things that you could call it baggage from other lifetimes, because knowing that this ascension was going to take place, so many of you said, hey, I'll bring it along and I'm going to clear it out and I'm going to do all this. But unfortunately, what happened is that you then feel overwhelmed in life and it's all very much a struggle for you. So as you, hang on a second, I'm trying to get rid of this stuff here. So as you are expanding that alignment into your soul, understand that many of these things that seem like they're so big and they're so important and you just can't get past it and it's so overwhelming, understand that it is there simply to do a check mark or simply to do a pause or simply to say, okay, this is something that needs to come to my attention. You may choose and just be involved in it for many, many years or days or weeks or months, but you are also getting to a place where you don't have to go through every experience over and over again. Instead, you can say, wow, this is coming up for me. I'm having this experience. What do I need to learn from it? Okay. And then you integrate what you needed to learn and you move on. So in other words, many people that might be sick right now, or many people that might have problems, mental, emotional, you can move through that much more quickly than you have in the past. And it is because of this direct opening to soul and the raise in the frequency. So as I've been saying all of this, I've been downloading into each one of you the tools so that you can do that in your everyday life. And this is how it works. You can talk to us, you can talk to your own self, you can talk to other beings of light. There are many, many different ways in which you can utilize this, and it can help you in your daily living. Okay, I know I have questions here, and I know this is always a long night, so let's just move on. What is the best way to recharge our crystals, and why do they lose their charge? Great question. Have you noticed that there seem to be more crystals around than what there were before? And some of you may think, well, yeah, but it's because I like crystals now and I didn't pay attention to them before. There are literally more crystals that are coming up, whether they're coming up in their raw form or whether they're polished. And I know some of them are enhanced, like laboratory enhanced. And as long as there's something in them that goes back to that basic crystal from which it came, it's just as powerful, it's just as equal to every other crystal. So you are seeing more crystals around you because that is another way to help you with these transitions, to help you with healing, to help you with having clarity in your life. So there are multiple ways that you can charge them. Putting it out if it's a full moon and it gets that beam of light from the full moon, putting it out in the sunshine in the middle of the day. If there's something you've been working really deep energy are, dig a hole, put them in the ground, let the earth clear them and just kind of clear them out completely, and then put it in the sun or the moon. A lot of people will use salt or something like that, Himalayan salt and water. So there are many different ways in which you can clean them, and I'm going to give you each a task that you connect with your crystal. like where, oh, Shelly's got this obsidian right here, so like she can sit here with her obsidian. She can hold on to it and what do you need right now? And it's as if you begin to have a relationship with your crystals. There are many of you that already do this, and it's a wonderful thing. But if you have not in the past, then consider creating relationships with your crystals, because sometimes they will relay information to you. Sometimes they work hand in hand with your intuition, and they may tell you, this is the best way for me to what do you call it? This is the best way for me to be cleansed and charged. But that's why, because these things just keep happening, and it's always been that way, but it's happening a little bit more quickly than what it used to, because there is so much transition taking place and so much that is being cleared out. Will the Atlas impact our pineal gland? Yes, it will, because the Atlas, the 3-eye Atlas, is here as a way of transmitting energy, and the people that are on the ships that go in and out of the Atlas and go in and out of the earth, as they are working with all of humanity, what they're doing is activating things that are in the cells in your DNA. They're also activating things that have been dormant in the earth. They are also clearing out, like there are certain things like overlays. There's certain blocks of energy that have been on your earth for a very, very long time. And it's almost as if they become a solid block of energy. So the Atlas has a means of going through and breaking down those things that have been stuck blocks of energy. So all of these things are the way in which the Atlas is working with each one of you. I think there was another one about, will we get our complete downloads within the coming week? But anyway, yes, you will get the complete downloads for your DNA. And many of you have received them, but it's sitting dormant in your energy field. But as far as the pineal gland go, I know that there are many of you where the pineal gland was, what do they call it? Solidified or something like that. And that's a legit thing. I can see it in people. However, it's not as bad as people say it is. You can activate no matter what has been going on in your life. I know people got injections. I know they got other medications. I know through mind control, different things like that. Their pineal gland was not actively functioning in the way that it is, and it became atrophied, you could say. However, no matter what your past has been, you can activate your pineal gland by simply working with the energy, sending it into your brain, sending it into your third eye, bringing it down through your head center, bringing it in through your crystalline energy body, and then sending it up and down through the chakra system. By doing different things like that, it will activate your pineal gland. Some people will feel very dramatic differences when that happens. Some people may not feel any difference at all. Some people like the drama of something big happening because then, oh, my pineal got activated or my kundalini got activated. But please, people, be aware that this is stuff that can happen to anybody. And it's about your intention, and it's about being consistent with the way in which you work with energy. Okay. Will we get our complete DNA downloads in the coming week and feel the difference? So many of you have already had your complete DNA download. Many of you don't feel any differently than what you did before for a couple of different reasons. For some, you got the download. It's sitting in your energy bodies, but it's not actively infusing or working up and down with the other blood cells and working in every blood cell that has your DNA as a part of it. So you can start activating this by literally being in the flow of the energy coming from the universe, knowing that the Atlas, knowing that the solar flares, knowing that there are so many things that are sending impulses into the earth plane. Let that be what is coming into you. And when you sit there quietly, you can sit out in the sunshine and feel the beam of light coming from the sun. You can sit under the moon. You can do whatever it is that it resonates with you. But when you're sitting there with that energy, you can consciously activate the DNA within you. There may still be some things that are not 100% working and active within you, because too much of a change too fast is just going to send you into like a overload. And so chances are you're going to activate it and things will still seem the same as what they did before. However, in the background and underneath everything, you are having many different experiences. Your intuition is expanding. Your telepathy is growing. Your way of seeing things around you is improving. So it's going to be different, and it's going to be, and the way in which it functions is just going to be very individualized. But that's what I see when I look at this. Is every person on earth? No. There are many, many, many people that have not yet been activated in their DNA because they are not vibrating at a level that is open to that alignment of doing so. And even for you guys, when you are living your life and it seems like, okay, I'm open, I'm in the flow, and then something pulls you out of it. You go down a rabbit hole, you get frustrated, you get angry, you wonder when are things going to happen. Just understand you're being human. So don't give yourself a hard time when that happens, but instead really recognize that, okay, this is not really supporting me. So I'm going to go back into that balance that I have been working for many, many, many years. And I'm going to find that balance, and I'm going to be in that balance. So I did want to talk about that too. A part of me doesn't want to be here. And now with a physical ailment, there's a possibility of that happening. I have fear and don't want to leave. I've accomplished nothing in my life. Can I change my direction and mind and circumstances and stay? Maybe this is something better for Brysentia. I don't know. But Shelly put it here for me to talk about it because when I'm looking at humanity, I see humanity as 80 to 90% non-physical and only 10 to 20% physical. So when you're talking about having physical ailments in your body, you've got all this energy that's around you that you can utilize to change that physical ailment that is within your body. So that's probably the reverse of everything you've ever been taught. You think that you are mostly physical and that these non-physical things are a small part of things. And probably 20, 30 years ago, that was absolutely true. But with the changes taking place, you are now predominantly energy. I mean, your physical body has always been a portion of energy too. So I'm not saying that it wasn't. I could hear people saying, well, you're saying our physical body isn't energy. It's like, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that where you are right now, everybody on the planet can do this. And even though there's a large segment that would never even consider it because, number one, they don't know about it. Number two, they don't believe it. But if you're listening to this and if you sent in this question, then you have the ability to heal yourself. You have the ability. Now, another thing you said, I've accomplished nothing. I am willing to bet 100% you have accomplished things in your life because nobody lives to any age and doesn't accomplish something. You woke up this morning. You lived your life today. You went to bed. So that's an accomplishment. So people give themselves illusions of what they think they need to do in life. And if they don't do that, they think they're a failure or they think they haven't accomplished anything. But everybody has value. Everybody accomplishes something all the time. So the question of, oh, are you about to die? Perhaps so, which you know is okay. It's always okay. But also recognize that you can make changes. They can happen immediately or they can happen over a period of time. But this is about each one of you taking ownership of your own reality, of your own health, of your own experience, and then utilizing not only the universal energies, but your own, or filtering it through you in the best way that supports you. So when people feel disempowered, that's how you re-empower yourself, is just making that realization that yes, you're stronger than you think you are. Yes, you can do more than you think you can. And yes, you chose to be here to be a part of all of this. So when you're in a very negative mindset, of course, you don't see those yeses. So let it be a trigger to say, okay, let me shift over here. Let me look at this from another perspective. Let me look at what is working for me. And every single one of you, no matter what is happening, no matter how dire your straits, you have positive things that are happening in your life. It's simply about learning how to understand what that is, how to recognize it, and how to let it become a part of you. But so many people, this was one thing that was stunning to me when I came into the earth plane. It is stunning how many people want to stay in that negativity. And I feel like, but it's so painful and it looks so awful and it hurts emotions and mentally, but they want to stay there, because this is why I'm saying that you can choose to think about things differently. And this person's probably never going to listen again, but you are so much more powerful than you think you are. And if you can open up and realize that for your truth, then things begin to change. And this is to this individual, but this is to everybody else too. So, beloved, with all of these transitions taking place, it's pretty darn amazing. And the speed with which you're going to integrate it and the speed with which you see these changes, I'm not good with choosing by Christmas, by Thanksgiving. I don't know. But I do know that there have been vast changes in the last 1 month to 3 months. And it's just going to accelerate and continue to be more and more and more. And when I look at humanity, I see way more light than I've ever seen before. So everything that's happening, that's coming in, it's integrating into every human individual, but it's also integrating into the animals. It's integrating into the earth. It's integrating into everything, because nothing is going to be left untouched. So be open, be aware, and be accepting of that. I love you all dearly. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Ansaluia. Greetings. It is I, Albayon. Whew. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to integrate into Shelly as I begin to speak here. There have been many changes taking place. As you know, I'm working with humanity, but I've also spent more time working out with the 3-eye atlas than I have been on the earth plane. Now, this is because not only am I working with the Atlas so as to be a liaison to bring in a lot of this energy, but I am also rejuvenating my own self and going back up to the higher level frequency with which I normally vibrate. So I've had to, well, all of us that came over to be a part of this part of the solar system, we all had to step down our energies, just as each one of you did when you came into this lifetime. So I've taken the opportunity, as has all three of us, as have many of the light beings that are in your galactic, the Galactic Federation of Light, the light. There's so many different names that people give, and many of them are the same organizations. But just about everybody has taken an opportunity to go and be in the vicinity of the Atlas. Some of us will go and we will literally dock onto the Atlas and then interact with the beings that are there. Others, just by being in a ship that is driving parallel to it or in the aura of it, you could say they're getting a lot of energy just from that. So there are multiple different ways in which we are revitalizing ourselves. And also, this is giving us information and helping us to not only go back to the high vibration that we normally are, but it gives us the opportunity to have the information and whatever it is that we might need so that we can continue to help humanity. Okay, so So I wanted to share that you might, and as you work with me, because I know so many of you work with me, I wanted to share that I might feel different to you. All three of us might feel different to you because we have been moving through these changes. I know that it all just is a number to you, but one of the most important things that's coming from the 3-Eye Atlas is activation of the 7th and 8th dimension. Once people started moving up and living at the higher frequency of the 5th dimension, once the 3rd was shut off, that was a big part of it too. Then, because there's always going to be people that are ahead of the what do you call it? The bell curve, so to speak. There were always people that were ahead of it. So they were already activating the 6th dimension. So before the Atlas even got here, I would say that the majority of humanity was in the 4th, rising up to the 5th. There was easily 30 or 40% that was in the 5th dimension, and then maybe 5 to 10% were moving towards the 6th. So what the Atlas is doing is it's now bringing to consciousness the 7th and 8th dimension, and it's putting in the unconscious level the 9th and 10th. So literally, you are doubling the potential of vibrations in which you live through this process of ascension. I know that it might not mean anything to you, but hopefully if you just consider, well, there's this many that are here, those numbers are, each one is giving you the ability. I mean, like at the 7th and 8th, you don't have physical bodies. You're just pure energy forms. And so that is something that is a potential that is going to be happening here on the earth. So you may think, well, why is it? Because isn't it important to have your physical body and to live as part of your physical body? Well, the importance is that by having that available to you, then you can bring your guides. You can bring aspects of yourself that live in that high frequency, and it can live kind of side by side with you, or hand in hand with you. And in doing so, that's going to allow you to then fluctuate over and integrate more of that vibration and frequency, so that in your everyday life, you are now vibrating and living and expanding at a much greater rate, because you have another piece of you that is anchoring that higher light vibration. Okay, so people always, let me kind of get down. So I'm trying to come back in, and I'm trying to integrate with the earth to look at these political things that are going on. I know that we frequently anchor here in the United States because that is, that's where Shelly lives, and that's where so much of this has taken place. So I do want to look at some things. You will recall that we said way back in early October, when the shutdown took place, it was a means of clearing out so much of the nefarious ones, fake things, and people that weren't really working, or people that were illegal, and all of these different levels of clearing out were taking place. And it happened. It did take place during the month of October. And when I look at it in some ways, I think, oh, they're back and functioning again. What I believe might be happening here is that they're literally creating a new Congress, a new Senate, and that if this goes on to a certain length of time, there's this sense of just something replacing it. And it's not clear to me what that is, because of course I don't know legally what they can do. Chances are they can't. They might not be able to. I don't see all of that. But what I see is literally like parallel, like one drew a line in the sand, one drew a line in the sand, and each person is standing there. Now, here's the very interesting thing about this. All of these, the people on the left that are saying, you're not really listening to us. You're not listening to what we really want to do. Well, they have been called out time and time and time and time again about when they've lied about things, and about how they want to continue to support the illegals and take the money from those that are legally there. And by that, we mean those that are the citizens and those that have immigrated, in a legal manner. So this is a much bigger deal than what you might think it is, because with the open borders, and we're talking about the open borders worldwide, it allowed for all the NPCs to move around the world. It allowed for all of these nefarious ones to come in and set up shop. And they have been working so hard, and for about 50 years now, working with mind control, trying to normalize things that should not be normal. And that's where you stand right now. That's where you have this group of people that are standing there saying, no, that's not normal. That's not right. We're not doing that. Number one, it's illegal. Number two, it's just not right. Whew, sorry, let me download. You probably can feel my energy is a little different. I know Shelly's in here saying, whoa, this is really, I am vibrating at a much higher energy. So she's trying to acclimate. And then when we start talking about something that's full of the nefarious ones, it's like, whoa, it's like this bigger dip. Anyway, what I want to say, and not get all caught up in it, is that I feel as if they have been setting up the new system in the, okay. So we've talked about the quantum financial system, and that it was set up, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago or something like that. And they were just waiting and figuring out ways in which to implement it. They implemented it into the banking systems, and some of the banks were using it. Some of them were not using it. So it's been piecemeal, put into place and activated in different parts of the world. So with what they're doing now, there were always things that got in the way and kept it from being fully activated and functioning. And that's the piece that they're getting rid of now, because they're going in, they're taking out the computer systems, they're taking out the hardware, they're taking out all of these things. And even though the government's been shut down, many of these offices still have people that are going in there trying to protect it and trying to keep them from getting what they need. But now they have the military going in, and they're taking and commandeering, or they're doing whatever it is that's legally okay to do, so that they can get this stuff, and so that they can take it out and clear it out and keep it from being a part of what's going to happen going forward. So that's reflected out in many different ways. The people are always still asking me, when is the EBS? When is the quantum financial system? When is Nasara Jasara? I feel as if all of those things are just hand in hand together, and that they are all coming. Now, I thought that that this breakdown or the shutdown of the government, as they've had it, that would finish up towards the 3rd or 4th week of October. And then at that point was when they would trigger, and they would start sending out the money, and they would start for Nasara Jasara. So that is what I had anticipated was going to happen. Now, when I look at it, I'm not exaggerating, my friends. It is a blank slate. Literally, I look down and I say, okay, so what are the probabilities? What's the strongest potential? What's going to happen? And I literally see blank. I see nothing. So let me ask, is it because it is cloaked to me, or is it because of something else is going on? It is cloaked to me because it is not yet time to explain more than that. But what I can tell you is there are so many of those old systems that I literally, and everything puts out its own frequency, its own vibration. And when I look at some of those old systems, I literally don't see them. I mean, there's no vibration, there's no frequency, there's nothing aligned with it. And as I'm looking at the government, I'm seeing how so many people have been removed, and then all that information was taken. I know, and I'm with you 100%. Someone had written a question on here about mainstream media, but one of the biggest questions that so many people have is, when are you going to start showing the treasonous actions, and when is the whole world going to know? Because everyone here has known this for 5, 6, 7 years, and many of these people have been taken out for 5, 6, 7 years. This is not something new. Most of these people are gone, and in some cases what you're seeing are body doubles or people wearing a mask or something like that. So let me just get quiet here and let me see if I can find out There are certain TVs that are already showing the trials. I heard Gitmo TV, and I feel as if that just shows little blanks or something like that, like short little clips. But it does. So I think what this is representing to me as I'm looking at it is it's going to come up in the alternative media, and it's going to be there for people to see. And then as people talk about it, and as they share it with their friends, and as they share it around, it's going to get to everybody. And so as mainstream media or the people that still have their head buried and don't want to hear about it, they're going to start seeing it come across, and then they'll see it again, and then they'll see it again until it gets to the point where they cannot deny it. So that's how I think that's going to all come out. And as I'm looking at it, I see it. It's already happening. It's already being given out there. So the more that people share it, the more it's going to show up for places. There was also some discussion along with this about what's it called? Like the DUMBs have, you keep hearing about how the DUMBs are being cleared out, but I have to say, if ever anyone wonders, are the children still there? No, they are not. They have been rescued. Is there still children in human trafficking? Yes, there is. There are still people in human trafficking of all ages, but it is a fraction of what it was a year ago. So they have systematically been taking out the heads of what was causing that human trafficking to take place, and it will go away, and it's going to greatly be reduced once they start televising and sharing more about these people and what they've been doing and how they are so compromised. Now, there's something else along with that. So anyway, people had been sending stuff to Shelly saying, well, I keep hearing that the DUMBs are still being cleared out. Some of them are being upgraded so that they can be used and utilized by regular humanity. Some of them, the worst of the worst, were cleaned out and cleared out in 2019, 2020, 2021. And since that time, they have done multiple different things that they've continued to use it as a means of capturing people and then fixing things and taking out what didn't serve. So how long is this going to go on? The shutdown, I feel like it's going to go on until they can come back and say, here's how this government is going to go forward. Here is the new quantum financial system. Here is what's been put in place. And this is what's been going on while the government was shut down because it was brought in. We could already hear people screaming and hollering, saying that it's not good, it's not right. And it is, everything is being done legally, and everything is being done in the best way possible. And just wanted to share, there are many layers of things that are happening, and some of these layers get a lot of energy and a lot of attention, and some of them do not. But it doesn't mean they're not out there. They're still out there, and there are people that are finding them. So two things were just going through my mind. So there are so many people now. So let's look at this guy in New York City. Mandavi, I think his name is. I do believe that he's a puppet. I do believe that he's there for a reason. And I remember looking at him back in, what was it, July, something like that, and thinking, oh, this is going to cause New York to wake up and pay attention. But I don't think he got elected honestly. I don't think that this is the way that the majority of New Yorkers want to be. I think it's all put there for a reason. Was he put there by the nefarious ones? I get a yes. And it feels like it's one of their last stands that they're taking. Okay. So is like he was just elected. He's not in office yet. And so my big question is something going to happen between now and when he goes into office, or he takes the oath, or whatever that is that you do? When is that anyway? January? I feel like it's a couple of months away. I don't have any idea about that, but I do feel like stuff is going to come up before then, before he actually takes office, that's going to talk about this. There are I just keep seeing Americans saying that for all these people, like him being one, and others, in Minnesota and others saying, that, well, we want a country that does XYZ, that are socialist actions. And I keep seeing people that are scratching their head saying, wait a second, we fought for independence. We fought for the republic. We fought to have, not to step into that. So it feels like there are things that are going to happen, and society is stepping up. But again, it's stunning, the brainwashing. It is stunning. And people that you might normally think are very smart and intelligent, and they should certainly know better, but there's something that's triggering them, that's causing them to believe it hook, line, and sinker. So that's what I think is going on here. And that has to be broken. Okay. I'm being shown that there are multiple people that are literally working on breaking down these chains of mind control. And therefore, once that chain gets broken and everything starts pulling in or flooding in, then there's going to be a mass awakening from that. And that's either happening right now or about to happen very, 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 very soon, because much of this needs to be done before the winter solstice or the December solstice, because that's when there's going to be another. You thought yesterday was a big influx. It's nothing compared to what the solstice is going to be. So we are very gradually working up towards this massive influx of energy. And for those that continue to be mind controlled, that's where you're going to see a distinct break or a distinct separation in how their own processing works. So I still, for whatever reason, I don't see him actually taking office. I see stuff coming in and clearing that out. And all of these people, it's illegal. Number one, it's just flat out illegal for him to even have run for office. And then people, he didn't win, but people putting him in anyway, saying that he won. It's all of these things, the shenanigans they've done for so many years, that the blockchain voting shows that it didn't happen. And so it feels like that's going to come up and be another way to show that this wasn't really what they wanted. Phew. Okay. I know I'm just going to jump into these questions now. Let's see. Does the 3i have anything to do with the intensity of human resonance? Yes. Crystallia spoke about that at great length. And the 3i Atlas is about sending out frequency, sending out impulses, and anything that is around every human is affecting your frequency or the intensity of the energies that are in and around you. So then when you have something that's coming in universally, it's affecting all of humanity. And so, yes, it's a direct link into your DNA. It's a direct link into all of your energy bodies. And it's a direct link into raising your vibration and supporting all of these changes taking place. What is happening to the Earth's frequency right now and with our visitors? So again, what I just said, but there are more and more people that are visiting, both emissaries of most are emissaries of light, and most are coming in and out of the earth plane. Now, there's a lot that are going through portals and are going into the center of the earth and are working with Lemuria and some of these other places. There are others that are landing, and it's basically around where you are, but in a different vibration or frequency. So they're where you are, but you don't see them because you're vibrating at a different frequency. And so they're working directly into the energy that each one of you is creating in your own life. So, so yes, everything is interconnected, everything. And this is where moving forward, it is so very important that you pay attention to your thoughts, that you pay attention to how you feel, that you pay attention to the way in which you talk to yourself and in which you talk to others, because all of it is interconnected. All of it influences one and the other. And all of that is about the frequency of humanity, the frequency of Earth, the frequency of the universe. Okay, so Julian Assange says that Gitmo prison and Camp Delta have expanded and are overflowing into Alaska, Diego Garcia, and there are nonstop tribunals for Hollywood and Silicon Valley elites, and by late November. Is this accurate? So there have always, since 2019 or 2018, there have been people in these facilities, and they have overflown and been expanded into different places multiple different times. There's some up in Greenland, there's some in Alaska, there's some in ships that are offshore, because it's not just the United States, it's every country on the planet. And so some of these are just in offshore ships that are in the maritime waters, or whatever you call it, that are not in the waters of that country. So they have to be in a place of neutrality, I think. I don't understand why, but what I see is in multiple places around the planet, there are massive ships. And so people are being held on these ships. People are being held in these various prisons. And some of them are those dumbs that were converted, and they may go down 10 or 15 levels deep of just people after people after people after people. And these are being done by military tribunal. And that is the only way that these individuals can be taken out, because this is where they've also, with corrupting the judicial system, they're saying that, oh, the judicial system can handle it. No, they can't, because this is why you have the JAG Court. This is why you have the military tribunals, is for things that are on a national and an international level, and for things that are, something against humanity, crimes against humanity. And so when you try to take it down into a state's level, or even the Supreme Court, it's just apples and oranges. It's not the same thing. So the only way these people can be tried and taken out is through the military tribunals worldwide. Whew. Okay, so that's that. So the answer is yes, they are overflowing. However, there are many, many people there that you might not recognize. A lot of Hollywood has already been processed. A lot of the political people have been processed. So there are many people there now that are belonging to corporations. There are some of them that worked with the courts, and therefore they have not yet been hung, or they might not be hung, but they're being kept because they don't want them coming out until all of this is done. So that's the reason why you have some overflowing, is for those people that are working with them, giving them information, and helping to bring down the bigger people. Okay, let's see here. Will the predicted earth changes, such as severe earthquakes, tsunamis, take place, and or will the collective minimize the destruction? There will not be massive, massive changes to the planet that would be devastating to humanity. That's already been taken off the plate. And I'm not just talking about nuclear changes. I'm talking about massive flooding that takes out continents and stuff. None of that's going to happen. There will be earthquakes. There will be flooding. There will be tsunamis. There will be, tornadoes. There will be storms that happen, but they will not be to the degree that they could have been. Those that were manipulating the weather patterns for nefarious means are not doing it anymore. There are a few that are still trying to do it, that have some sort of connection to it, but there are way more that are the white hats that are keeping that from happening. So there will not be anything massive or anything. And then the other question that was a part of this is, are the galactic beings helping to do this? Yes, because that galactic beings are helping to provide balance to this planet. And when you have balance, you don't have catastrophic reactions. Those are a result of imbalance. And so and as humanity is working to create balance, as the non-terrestrials are coming in and bringing in energy that help to create balance, all of that is what keep these massive things from happening. Okay. Let's see. Have the white hats begun taking over mainstream media? Yes, they have. And honestly, there are many of us in the Galactic Federation and the Galactic Councils that have said, okay, you've taken them over. Why are you still feeding them false news? And it feels as if what they have come to find out is that there are varying degrees of white hats, people that definitely are not as bad as the nefarious ones, but actually they find whether they're being, what's the word? Manipulated. That's not the word. When you have to pay money to get something bribed or something like that. So whatever it is that's happening, there are many people that are part of mainstream media that is being allowed to keep doing what they're doing because they feel as if it's serving a purpose of some sort. But at the top of the top, the mainstream media has been transitioned and blackmailed. Yeah, so they are. There are many of them that are being blackmailed, and so they're deliberately not saying things because they're told not to say that, even though the person up at the top here, and they could come down on them. They could say, okay, until you start telling the truth on things, we're not putting you on the air, or we're going to override you. That is something that I see happening, but for whatever reason, they are very aware of who is truly for and supporting this change and this move going forward, and those that are still trying to keep things from happening. So, but the top of mainstream media is very well aware that they're corrupted, and the top has already been removed, and they've been replaced with individuals that are working for the white hats. But this is where they're finding that, oh no, you're supposed to be doing this, but they're not. So whether they got corrupted after they were put in that place or they already were, that I can't really tell a difference. But I do feel like it all goes hand in hand. The EBS, which is the broadcasting, and the quantum financial, and the transition into Nasara Jasara. All of that is going to happen at the same time. Whew. Okay. Oh, this is an interesting one. What is the difference between Tachyon chambers and a med bed? Let me look at those and see, because there's many similarities. A Tachyon chamber uses just one particular frequency, that which is associated with, I don't even know if I'm saying it, Tachyon. That is like one primary frequency. It may have subtle differences that go within it, but when you're looking at the med bed use multiple different frequency and multiple different energy levels. And so they work in the same way, but they do different things. So some might consider both of them med beds because they are devices that will help to put a person back into balance. But there are certain things that someone may need a med bed, which does everything, versus this Tachyon, which only does some things. It does a lot, and it's a great tool, but it does not do as much as the med bed, which has the multiple different frequencies. Okay. I have a connection between Atlantis and what is happening now in regards to the problem technology and galactic interaction. If I remember correctly, when Shelly was reading this was a very long thing, and she just kind of brought it short. So what the individual was asking is, were there things that were put into place in Atlantis that are happening now, or were there things that were dormant, and with what's happening now, it's activating the beginning or Atlantis? What is the link between Atlantis and what's happening right now? So let me look at that and see what I can find out. When you think of Atlantis, most people don't realize that it lived for at least 1,000 years. And during that 1,000 years, it had many, many, many different waves and levels. And for the first probably 300 to 500 years, it was very much like Lemuria, except they were bringing in technology, and they were bringing in, Lemuria was about the whole, and they were bringing in the individual, i.e., what does a person need for themselves, or what does this person do? It was beginning to go that service to self. That's what caused Lemuria to leave and to release. And then the second half of the time in which Atlantis was a big part of the planet, that was when they were actively working with technology. They were actively working with non-terrestrial beings. And that was when those that were the nefarious ones, they came in as if they were helping, and then they flipped the switch and you knew what they were really. But they're the ones that began a lot of the control, manipulation, the cloning, all of these different things that the nefarious ones have been doing in the last 100 years to 150 years were things that did happen in Atlantis. And then there was, once it sank, it was like, you know how this planet does things. One time they flooded the whole planet to get rid of the nefarious ones and the negativity. You know, another time they sank Atlantis to get rid of it. So Atlantis has very controversial energy. Some of you may think of it, and it was a beautiful place, and it was filled with new technology and new things and many advancements. And then others think of Atlantis and they think, oh my God, it was control, manipulation, testing on people, and very horrible things to do. The other thing that happened was, as the nefarious ETs were coming in, they were deliberately working with the universal energy, trying to drop it down. I mean, the universal light vibrational frequency is pretty high, but they were dropping it down for this whole end of the galaxy. And this is another reason why things collapsed. And this is another reason why there were some galactic wars that then took place, you know, because of what they were doing to the earth plane. And there were other people that were out in the universe that were fighting against them to try to stop that and to keep that from happening. But yes, there's a definite link between Atlantis and what's going on now. And in some ways, things that happened in Atlantis went underneath for a long time, and then it got brought back again over various times in history. You saw the same control, the same manipulation, the same illegality, the same, you know, all of these things that are happening now. You can look at your history and see it happen again and again and again. And that is why we are changing in such a way now that it will not happen again. And none of us, we can already see that this whole planet, the galaxy, everything will be raised to such a vibration that it will not happen again. But great question for seeing that similarity. Let's see. Is Nigel Farage likely to be Prime Minister of the UK, and is he a white hat? Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage walks both sides of the aisle. He, what is it that they call him? A politician? You know, he's one of those that he doesn't want to make enemies on any side, so he'll promise everybody anything. Looking at who's in there now or looking at other people that have been in that job where there was a lot of darkness in them, this one feels to us like there's way more of the white hat energy in him than there have been in the others before him. But we still see that trying to schmooze both sides of that. Is he playing a role? We get yes. So that could also then support that he probably is a white hat, and that he is working for the white hats trying to help that. So our answer to that is a yes. Does Netanyahu get exposed as being the traitor to the people of Israel and the U.S., or has a deal been made that he avoids accountability? Is there divine justice for all of the crimes against humanity that he has been a part of? And what's going on in Gaza? Whew. So I have oftentimes seen this individual being accountable for the misdeeds that he has done. So yes, I think it is going to come out. I believe that a deal was brokered that would not put him out there at first, and that would kind of like let things happen and let people find out about the things that were going on, and not necessarily that he was the one heading it. I have a sense that a deal was brokered that kept him from being named immediately. But if he didn't either get out of there, resign, do certain things, then it is going to be made public knowledge. I believe in looking at him that it will be made public knowledge because everybody's talking about it and everybody will continue to talk about it. So yes, it will be made public knowledge. But will it be after he's gone, or will it be what takes him down? That's a teeter-totter that I see could go either way. Let me just look at that whole area and look at Gaza and and I want to look underneath, because this is, of course, where the head of the nefarious ones were stationed. Okay. Okay. So everything that's been working on to clear out that area, we're talking about underneath. We're not talking about the peace treaty. We're talking about, other things that were not spoken about. Way less activity here than when there was, like, even just a month ago, and dramatically less than when there were 2 or 3 months ago. So we believe that, yes, that energy is gone. We do believe that there are still enough people in here that are trying to figure out how to continue things on. But, like, for example, when we would look at something and we'd see the loosh, or we'd see all the nastiness, we don't see it anymore. There's just this tiny little fraction of it. So we know that there are lots of people in the world that are still afraid and angry, and, the things that made up the loosh, but it does not feel like it's getting back to them, or it does not feel like it's in there the way that it used to. So that feels dramatically different. Okay, so now let's look at Gaza, and let's look at, they just have to get rid of these people, period. When you look at the original Palestinians, when you look at the Israelis, when you take out all of the nefarious deeds and the nefarious ones, then these people have gotten along very, very well in the past. And I do see that the time will come when they will once again get along with each other. So the question is, and it feels like they will rebuild both Israel and Gaza. Someone had just said something to Shelly just today about something with, like, the UK and other corporations stealing that area. That feels like false information to me. I don't think that's happening like that. I mean, maybe it's there. Maybe it was put in the bylaws, and maybe they started to do that and they tried to do that. But that feels like something from like 8 to 10 years ago. It does not feel like what's happening there now. Okay. Will the U.S. break apart? I've heard that there will be regions. I'm stuck in a blue state, and taxes have gone way up with our new governor. There are taxes on everything. Will that improve? The taxes are going to go away. Once this quantum financial system, of course, I've said it for 5 years, so give that with a grain of salt. But well, yes, Ben, sorry, I just caught my eye. Yes, he's been swapped out. The original is long gone, but as long as there's a figurehead with that name doing things, that's the issue. So that figurehead and what he did is what needs to come down. Anyway, back to the blue states and back to all the taxes. The taxes are changing. The taxes are going to go away. It feels like you might still have to pay the taxes for 25, but it just feels like it's going to, I don't know. when I said, it looks like you'll have to pay taxes for 25, I got, no, you won't. So I think that there's something very, 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 very close that is going to take out that taxation system, which has been illegal. And that's a part of the money that comes back to people. The biggest thing is so many people are struggling. So many people can't afford to feed themselves, or they might not be able to make their mortgage, or they have to choose between the rent and the food. And it's really, I see it, I acknowledge it. It is terrible. And that's part of that duality that we saw at the very beginning here. But I just want to see it all is blended together. They'll get rid of all of these people that are there illegally. They'll get rid of all of those that are in like Congress and different places that are not legally in those places. And it's like, as they're taking those out, they've exported tens of thousands of people already. They've exported a lot of people. But the bottom line is we need to get the support to these people that need it, because that is rising. There is way more people that need assistance than there have ever been before. And is that going to come through the taxes coming down? We get a yes. And is that going to come through Jasara? We get a yes. Or Nasara. Again, the money for Jasara is not a part of everything else that they've been talking about with the taxes, with the budget, the country budget. It's coming from another fund, and they're just not going to put it out there when these other things are still in limbo. It's like they have to work out these problems, and once they do, it's going to open the gate, and then that money will flow out to everyone. It feels as if it goes very quickly, and like, for example, it goes into the accounts and stuff, as opposed to go over here, pick up your check, and then go. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like it is happening. So hang in there. I know it's been very, very tough, but once they've taken out these socialist people, then there are moderates that have been afraid to really step up and do their things. But I just, I don't see the types of politicians like they've had in the past, meaning the Republicans and the Democrats. I see the Democrats going away, and I see this massive increase in the Republicans. You've already seen that. That's what happened a year ago. But I feel as if there's either going to be no competition, or it's just going to be much more balanced. Okay. Is it likely that Alberta will separate from Canada? Let's see. There's a lot of controversy about that, about these various parts of Canada breaking up, and there's still that thing flying around about Canada becoming a part of the U.S. And there will be a time when, like, there'll be all of North America, but it's not going to be that it gets absorbed into the U.S. It's going to be something much more global, and that's not going to happen for 20 to 30 years, many years down the road. So in the meantime, a lot of this controversy, when things settle down in the U.S., it's going to settle down in these other countries too. Europe right now is in chaos, and the UK, there's a lot of chaos and division that's going on over there. And once they start really coming down and removing, well, when you've taken out the head of all of those nefarious ones, that's trickling out. And so that will be a part of what brings it down permanently. I do not see Alberta becoming separate from Canada, but I do see that it kind of represents some of that controversy and things that are going on. Well, let me jump off and let Brysentia come in here. Beloved ones, stick with the truth, stick with your intuition, stick with the knowledge that you are deeply in the flow of the universal light and love. Let that be what nurtures you. Let that be what supports you and balances you, because you know that you are never alone. On Saluia. Greetings, it is I, Brysentia. And I come in at this time bringing love of the Pleiadeans, bringing love and activation for all of those of you that are Pleiadians upon the earth. We were a major part of the support of the earth, of integrating the earth and becoming a part of the earth back when it was becoming inhabited. And so you will see a lot of information coming out about the Pleiadians because we are so much a part of this. When you think of the Nordics, that is a type of Pleiadian. When you think about many different species, we look very similar to what you look like, but oftentimes we're quite tall. So there may be different ways in which you see us in your community. We may be walking down the street with you because many of us are now walking and living and participating in your everyday life, and we're all in there and around you. We are very excited about everything that is going on. We believe in everything that's going on. We know that this has been incredibly traumatic for almost every single one of you in one form or another. So find a way to be in the peace and the love and the balance of the all of the energy of the all that is, because the all that is God, source, soul. It's everything that makes up the foundation, not only of this universe, but every universe. Let that be present within you. Let yourself be nurtured from this unconditional love that is always here for you. Whew. Well, we're going to jump into questions because I think I still have a few questions to look at today. When will I or we get all of our gifts back? And when will I or we know what our gift is? Will it be this month or have to wait? Or do we have to wait for years? You know, this is kind of what Brysentia and Albayon were talking about. It's as if everybody's been given their gifts. Everybody has the ability to activate their gifts. So the question comes, in my perspective, more so from what is your ego doing that's keeping you from seeing the gifts? What is your ego doing that's keeping you from working with these gifts? Because they're there, they're in you, they're activated. And for those of you that seem like, I don't have any gifts, I don't know what my gifts are, I don't know what I'm going to do, well, start working very gently and lovingly with your ego, that it is no longer blocking you, that it is no longer keeping you from being able to activate all the many, many gifts you have. Nobody has just one gift. Everybody has the ability to use multiple different energy fields like seeing, hearing, touching, sensing, knowing. All of these different senses are present in all of you. And while one or two may be more predominant than the others, they're all there and they're all in you. So if you feel like you don't have any gifts, then be loving, gentle, and nurturing with yourself, because the ego is oftentimes referred to as the 2-year-old. So if you start saying no, 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 that ego is going to say yes, 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 and fight back even harder. So be loving and nurturing, and instead just open up. Oh, today I'm going to see, and I'm going to pay more attention to being able to sense things more fully, or being able to see the energy around people, whatever it is, because in your intuitive insights, you know that, oh, I just have felt things, and I want to see what that is, or you've seen things. So let your intuition help you by telling you what it is that you are already leaning towards. And then by gently paying more attention to that, it will strengthen that, and it will help your ego to recognize, oh, this is all good. This is all a part of me. I don't need to stand up and protect, because your ego's only trying to protect you, even though it's holding you back, even though it's keeping you from being as aware as you could be. It thinks it's trying to protect you. So that's my response. That's how I see that playing out in the vast majority of you. I'm from Denmark, and I would like to know what is happening in Denmark. We are sending lots of money to the Ukraine, and some of the Danes can't even afford to buy food. See, this is what we all three are seeing. That it's a trend around the planet that those people that are intrinsic in, be it their country, their state, wherever their location is, the resources that are there to go and support their own people have been diverted for others. And all of that was done as a means of really bringing it up to the attention of everyone so that you could start saying, no, I'm not going to go along with that. No, this is not going to be the reality. No, this isn't right. And that's what's happening all over the place. But there are still some that are slower to implement change than others are. So looking at this, is Denmark still sending money to the Ukraine? We got to know they're not sending money anymore. So maybe they did for a long time, and maybe they are saying that they're sending money, or maybe some of the resources are saying that, but it does not feel like it feels like the money to Ukraine has been cut off. And perhaps it's been cut off by the larger people. But when I looked at Denmark and the EU and I said, are you still sending money to Ukraine? I just get this no. I get that there's a wall there. So it makes me wonder if people are being told that, yes, we're still supporting Ukraine, what's that money going into? But honestly, it feels like it's somewhat of a, what do you call those things, of a shell company, like, oh, we're sending money to the Ukraine, but it's going back into nefarious ones. So that's what it feels like more so to me, because we really don't see a lot of money going into the Ukraine right now. But for those that are struggling to feed themselves, and no matter where it is, there is relief that's coming. And it's almost like, you know, when you see that rubber band that's being stretched, it is very close to the breaking point. And so that's just my perception, that you are very, very, very close to the end of all of this. So hang in there. Keep working with one another. Keep supporting one another. If you can do stuff to help your neighbors, then do stuff to help your neighbors. That doesn't mean you have to go out and bankrupt yourself for someone else. That's not what I'm talking about. But if there are ways that you can support your neighbors and you can support humanity, then understand that these are the ways in which humanity itself comes together in support of one another. Okay, let's see. Even though the culling of the ostriches in British Columbia was horrible, I felt it was a psyop. Was it a white hat operation to expose the Canadian government? Thanks for any input that you may have. Was the ostrich thing a psyop? Yes and no. So when I look at this and try to read the energy to figure out what's going on, there are so many humans. It's like everyone that's been thinking about it sent their energy there. And so it's almost like I have to wade through, you know, to try to get to the core of what it is. And in the core, it feels like two things were going on. Number one, there was something about that was being controlled and manipulated by the nefarious ones. And so the white hats did come in and make a change. Now, they're saying that they killed, what was it, 300, 400, something like that. That doesn't resonate with me for some reason. I don't think it was as many as that. And so maybe this person thinking that they felt like it was a psyop, they're picking up on that too, that they're saying it was way more than what it actually was. And that's my take on that too, is I don't think it was that many. And I think there were things going on either on the farm or underneath the farm or in the area brought or with them that had to do with smuggling, that had to do with nefarious deeds, and this was kind of like an overlay. So I do believe that it was a psyop to a certain degree, but I felt like there was a lot of the nefarious that triggered it, and then the white hats had to come in and take over and get rid of whatever the problem was. So this was not something simple. It had many, many different levels to it. And it feels like what the public was told, some of it was true, some of it was not true. And, it was just a very challenging thing, that's for sure. But it feels like it was a cover up for something else that was taken out that had to do with either human trafficking or nefarious deeds. And that's what was taken out. And yes, they did kill a bunch of birds. And saying that there was the avian flu, I don't feel like there was actually an illness in these animals. I do feel like some of them were used for, what do you call that? Healing products, like natural healing and things like that. So it is something that we see at some point in the future that it will come back around and that there will be something along that line that will replace that. But yeah, I'm just looking at all these different energies and there's so many different things around it. But when I peel away the layers, that's what I get as the foundation. There's a new sci-fi series on Apple TV called Pluribus. The premise is, at least in the first episode, that an energy force coming into the earth causes many people to freeze in motion and then awaken loving and happy, while some people perish or remain miserable and frightened. Is this part of disclosure, and is it anything to do with the three-eye atlas and the coming changes? Very interesting, isn't it? As you know, many, many of the shows, be it the weekly shows, be it the movies, be it the many different things, they are giving you disclosure in it, and they always have been. For the nefarious deeds, they had to tell you what they're doing that was wrong. And now the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of it is telling you this is what they were doing, and it's different. It's a different energy around it. But this way of saying that, people may freeze and they may accept the ascension. Some may ignore the ascension and then they continue to struggle. So yes, I do think it actually is something that is associated with the ascension that's going on. Specifically the three-eye atlas, I don't know per se. It feels like they're talking about the big blast, that so many people like to talk about. And then they associate it with Armageddon or any of those other things. So to me, as I'm looking at that, at what this person wrote, because I don't know the movie, I don't know, the specifics about it, but from what this person wrote and what I tapped into, it feels like what they're trying to say is that everybody is going to ascend, and you can either accept it and move on to a place that feels great, you can ignore it completely and really struggle afterwards, or you can be kind of ambivalent and maybe get better, maybe not get better. And that's probably pretty true, don't you think? With everything that's coming in with the three-eye, you are going to see basically those types of responses from people. People will either grow or they'll double down and say, I'm not going to go this way. And then things will get even more difficult for them. Or they'll finally have to just say, okay, I give up. And there must be something to this. Whew, just saying. Speaking, and I'm just saying this only because we've talked about it so much. As I've talked about this one thing, and as I'm talking through Shelly here, she now has broken out in a sweat, and the energy flowing is really intense. So it could be because she's getting really tired, or it could be because of that. But this is why we say, pay attention to what you're feeling, pay attention to what's going on around you when certain things come up, because literally her hair's standing up on end. So that must be a hard yes for that one. Will the citizens of the U.S. receive a financial benefit before Thanksgiving or Christmas? We've kind of sort of tapped on this before. We're not going to say we are not going to give it any sort of a time frame. Absolutely, there's a potential, at any given moment. But none of us are going to give any specific dates and times because it's impossible to say. There's too many different factors of what's going on. And so we're going to, yeah, sure, we would love it. Absolutely love it for everyone to receive it tomorrow morning when you wake up. But we see it in some cases is already being done, at least the first layer coming out and people getting something and then getting more and more later. But, you know, I'm not going to make any promise by Christmas or Thanksgiving. The solstice, I cannot say enough about how important this winter/summer solstice is going to be. So just see what's happening to yourself in and around those energies. Okay, this will be the last one. Is there any truth around the World Health Organization that they paid people to go find viruses and spread the sickness? This is being exposed now. 100%. The World Health Organization, and that's the WHO, and there was another one that were two of the faces of the nefarious ones, and that was what that was their whole job, was to wreak havoc on people, to find problems, to find, you know, that was 100% what that was about. So when you look back, AIDS back in the 80s, that was manufactured. SARS, all of those things were manufactured. And so did specific people go out and literally look for insects or things? You know, yes, maybe so. But most of it was manufactured in labs and was put out in that format. So yes, but again, this is what's coming down. This is what is no longer going to happen. But this information will be given to society, and society will understand that that was all a part of the manipulation. That was all a part of trying to take out humanity. All right. So thank you, my dear friends. I just am celebrating every single day. Every day I come in and I work with different people on Earth. Now, Albayon took that little sojourn. I have not done that, but I'm thinking maybe I will. And honestly, why don't you guys do that also? Just as we've always talked to you about going to Albayon's ship and going onto the med beds or doing, you know, different things to help heal you, why don't you send your own energies up to connect with, oh, yes, you have Pleiadeans, or any of the other many, many emissaries that are coming off of the 3-eye atlas, and see if you can connect and work with them directly so that you too can have that upgrade done and that you can integrate it and feel, you know, how wonderful that is for you. This is a truly exciting time. You have honestly not 100%, but you have been through the worst of it, and start reaching towards feeling good. Start reaching towards things that are supporting you. Start reaching towards the new, because it's done. It's been a long time coming. Thank you for being with me this evening, and I'm here in love and joy for all of you. You may always call upon me on Saluia. Okay, well, this is Shelly. I'm back again now. That was very interesting. And I'm so glad that she said that, because literally talking about that one, it's like my hair literally stood up and I broke out in sweat. And, you know, so it's like, yeah, pay attention, pay attention. So as they keep talking about us, you know, telling us to pay attention to these different things, that's a perfect example, and how wonderful that it happened while I was online. So that gave all of you a chance to see that. But thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. And I stream it as always on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. And but go to my website, crystallinetransformations.com. And I think I sometimes share on X or LinkedIn or other things too, but share this information. It's for all of us. It's because we are all moving through this ascension, and reach towards what feels good. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.